Imagine a world where power has a strict expiration date. In the shade of a great sycamore tree, the Oromo people of East Africa have practiced a system where leaders must step down every 8 years, no exceptions. It's called Gadaa, and it's a living blueprint for democracy that's been running for centuries. Once you see how it works, it changes everything you thought you knew about governance. UNESCO recognizes Gadaa not just as a ritual, but as a full socio-political framework that functions right alongside the modern state. It handles everything from writing laws and settling conflicts to keeping the community whole. It isn't just a tradition, it's a governance machine that's been fine-tuned over generations. But here's the real secret. Gadaa isn't just about who sits at the top. It's a ladder that every citizen climbs, stage by stage. Each grade comes with its own specific set of duties, and a lifelong education in responsibility. In this world, leadership isn't a personality cult. It's a timed assignment that you spend your entire life preparing for. Now, when we use the word democracy here, we're not talking about a copy of a Western parliament. We're talking about a local worldview that values the rotation of authority and absolute accountability. Gadaa takes those ingredients, assemblies, legal norms, and checks on power, and organizes them with remarkable discipline. Structurally, the system is divided into 5 classes. One of these becomes the ruling class, complete with its own chairperson and assembly. Because the system is designed to rotate, no single class can hold on to power indefinitely. It's a governance model built on experience, not inheritance. That rotation is triggered every 8 years. This isn't a term limit that a politician might try to change. It is the core mechanism of the system. When the time is up, the outgoing group steps back and the next takes over on schedule, ensuring that power never has the chance to settle into one set of hands. Even the name itself, Gadaa, carries deep layers. It can refer to the passing of time, the ruling grade, or the entire 8-year political cycle. Essentially, the Oromo have aligned their calendar with their government system. To understand why this rotation remains so stable, we have to look at the ladder of life. This is the spine of the Gadaa story, the process of turning children into citizens, citizens into leaders, and leaders into the elders who guard the law. The first step in that ladder is a clever safeguard against dynasties. The system requires a 40-year gap between a father's entry and his son's. This simple rule of timing makes it physically impossible for power to pass directly from parent to child. It's a democracy engineered to prevent kings before they can even start. The journey actually begins at birth. The earliest grades, like Dabale and Gam, are for children and youth. These aren't just age groups. They are cohorts where kids learn social obligation and self-discipline, long before they are anywhere near political authority. By the time a group reaches their mid-20s, the Kusa stage, the focus shifts to competence. Here, recruited members gain leadership knowledge and skills through structured support. The point isn't to find the most charismatic person, it's to build a cohort of capable experts. This leads into Rabadori, an apprenticeship phase. Think of this as governance shadowing. The next generation of leaders prepares for administration by working alongside those currently in power, making sure that when the torch is passed, the transition is seamless. The ruling grade itself finally happens between the ages of 41 and 48. This is when the group elects its executive officials, including the Abagada. The handover is a solemn moment, marked by the passing of a single ostrich feather, the Bali, a fragile symbol of immense authority. But the story doesn't end when the leaders leave office. They move into the Yuba grades, the elder advisory stages that can last until age 80. Here, their years of experience become the community's oversight, providing counsel, and ensuring continuity for the next generation. While this structure is universal to the Oromo, the names of these classes can vary by region. Whether you're with the Barana, the Guji, or the Talama, these different labels point to a single, shared logic that expresses itself locally across the landscape. When you look at this whole picture, it's easy to see why scholars point to its checks and balances. From the division of roles between executives and judges to the accountability of the assembly, Gadaa has all the ingredients of a democratic state, built from the ground up. So, where does this governance actually happen? Usually, it's under the canopy of the Oda, the sycamore tree. To the Oromo, the Oda is more than a plant. It is a political and religious center. It is the living roof under which the community's heart beats. Another interesting fact about Gadaa is that it doesn't have a manuscript. Instead, the system relies on oral traditions to be passed down at home and in school. This ensures that every citizen is trained to remember the law and, more importantly, to live it. That law is often focused on restoring balance rather than just punishment. In Oromo justice, reconciliation and mediation are the priorities. The goal is called erera, a logic designed to rebuild trust and heal the community after a conflict. We see this in action through very specific procedures. For instance, some Gadas use a 13-step process to manage disputes over water or grazing land. Whether the steps are the same in every village or not, the point is the same. There is a repeatable, fair way to find peace. This kind of governance is essential when resources are scarce. By using customary rules to regulate wells and pastures, Gadaa prevents small disagreements from turning into wars. It's one reason the system is being revived today, as a way to protect the environment and keep the peace. Everything we've mentioned so far shows that the Gadaa system's ultimate goal is to make the majority of its people productive citizens. In Gadaa, you don't just run for leadership on a whim. You spend decades maturing and training until your cohort is ready to fulfill its responsibilities. In this system, power has to be earned. Candidates for office are recognized through merit, often listing their deeds before an assembly, to ultimately win their collective consent. It's a meritocracy where your family name matters far less than what you've actually done for the people. This ensures that leadership is never above the community. Leaders are continuously measured by the social environment around them. In Gadaa, if you hold power, you are always answering to the circle of people you serve. But to tell the full story of Gadaa, we have to look at the power that balances it from the side. While men hold the formal offices, Oromo women hold a sacred institution of their own, Sienki. It is a parallel system dedicated to protecting women's rights. The Sienki is a physical stick carried by women during festivals or when they need to demand justice. It's not just a prop, it's a social license. A woman carrying a Sienki can step between two men in a fight and stop the violence instantly. It is a symbol of force and protection. Scholarship tells us that while women aren't ruling class members in the same way as men, they are the essential consultants on the law. It's a system of gendered power where each side has a different role, but both are vital to the whole. This is why a balanced view is so important. We see democratic principles like rotation and accountability, but we also see structured limits on who holds which roles. To understand Gadaa, we shouldn't mythologize it. We should simply explain how it works. Part of that explanation is how the law gains its soul. Political structure is one thing, but legitimacy often comes from the spiritual side. Institutions like the Kalu, the spiritual leadership, met with the Gadaa system at key ceremonies to ensure that the law was backed by something deeper than just a vote. You can see that authority in the objects people carry. The ostrich feather, the horns, and the drums used during handovers aren't just decorations. Indeed, they are enduring constitutional symbols. They are the public signals that power has moved from one class to the next. And this isn't a recent invention. The Gadaa system has governed Oromo society for centuries, with roots that extend deep into oral tradition. By the 16th century, it was already functioning as a highly structured political and social system, documented in historical accounts during a period of major regional change. Later scholarly research would examine it in greater depth, recognizing Gadaa as one of the most sophisticated indigenous governance systems in Africa, built on rotation of power, accountability, and collective decision-making. That resilience has been tested. Over the centuries, Gadaa has been pushed underground or marginalized, yet it always reemerges. Today, UNESCO notes that it functions right alongside the state system, proving that ancient customary laws can still provide justice. In the modern world, continuing ancient traditions for today. In fact, many government agencies now rely on these customary leaders for peace building. Gadaa has become both a living institution and a powerful symbol of Oromo identity, a way to bridge the gap between local culture and modern governance. In 2016, The world officially recognized this value when UNESCO inscribed Gadaa on the representative list of intangible cultural heritage. This wasn't a trophy, it was a commitment to safeguard the system and ensure its education and transmission continue for the next generation. So, what are the lessons for the rest of us? We can see the value in term-bounded leadership, in lifelong civic education, and in a justice system that favors healing over punishment. These aren't just Oromo ideas. They are universal principles for a healthier society. However, we have to be careful not to simply copy and paste these traditions. Systems are born from the societies that built them, and they don't always travel well. The right move is to learn from Gadaa with humility and respect for the context it grew in. Perhaps the most unique lesson is the link between time and power. By tying governance to a sophisticated calendar, Gadaa ensures that leadership is as predictable as the seasons. When power is a scheduled season, it becomes much easier to hold it accountable. If we return to the image of the circle under the Oda tree, we see a community rehearsing its governance in public. They do this again and again, cycle after cycle. That repetition isn't boring. It is the very foundation of their stability. At its core, Gadaa is about rotating authority, staged education, and community-based justice. Its details might change from one region to another, but its logic is unbreakable. Power is temporary, training is for life, and the community always remains the judge. If you value African history told with evidence and respect, don't forget to support our team by liking this video and subscribing to this channel. In the description below, you'll find the primary sources and the scholarship that made this video possible. Join us for the next documentary as we continue to build this archive, one rigorous story at a time.